Good evening and welcome to our driver's license exchange in Portugal webinar from Expats Portugal. Do you really need to exchange your license? I'm sure a lot of people are hoping they won't have to do that, and we're going to get the answers tonight from our friends who we haven't seen for a little while. Lovely to see you again, Isadora Rocha and Soraya Costa from ACP. Isadora, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are everyone here? I hope you are all good and happy to hear us out a little bit.
Fabulous. And you appear to be standing outside an ACP shop, I think in Évora.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, somebody.
And you nailed it. You nailed it.
Thank you. Beautiful Portuguese street in Évora there. Are you actually there this evening? Is that the part of the country that you're in, or where else might you be?
No, I wished this is my favorite city in Portugal. I wished, but it's only a screen of our branch office in Évora.
Okay, and of course you have branch offices all over the country, many of them in the shopping malls of Portugal and some in beautiful streets, a very Portuguese looking street in Évora there. And I suspect then, Isadora, whenever there's a chance to visit Évora to go to the ACP shop, you're first to put your hand up. I'll go to Évora. So yeah. Great to have you back here this evening. Soraya, good evening to you. Lovely to see you as well. How are you? Where are you tonight?
Hello, I'm fine. Hello everybody. From Lisbon.
You're in Lisbon. Are you at the headquarters of ACP?
Yes, in this beautiful building.
Yeah, it is a beautiful building, isn't it?
Yes.
You have the Art Deco style, I think, if I remember correctly, of ACP. Automobile Club de Portugal, of course, the ACP, the equivalent of the AA or the AAA, depending on where you are in the world. So great to have you here to answer questions and to go through the regulations of driving license exchange tonight. And I believe you have a presentation for us. We'll go through the presentation, we'll have a bit of a Q&A, and we'll broaden things out so people can find out more about what ACP do as well. So do you want to pop your presentation onto the screen there, Soraya, and I'll say a few hellos. We've got Thea's in and Lowell from Maryland, USA, Benoit from Laurie, Ola from Florida as well. Good to see you here. Who's that in Florida? Debbie, soon to be in Coimbra is your full name on Zoom. Very busy this week arranging health and pet insurances. Warren, great to see you. We arrive for our IMA appointment on April the 28th, 2024. Yahoo! And then hopefully forever. Brilliant. So fingers crossed for that, Warren. And Phyllis in South Florida. And Andrea as well. Andrea here. Good evening to you, Andrea. Great to have you here. In Houston this evening. So it looks like we're ready to roll with Soraya and the presentation there. So over to you, Soraya.
Hello, everybody. My name is Soraya from ACP. So let's see if you have to exchange your driving license. If you are only visiting our beautiful country as a tourist, you don't have to change your driving license, of course, just for a period of 6 months following your entry into Portugal. If you are already living in Portugal, the need of exchange your driving license will depend on which country it was issued. So, I will talk first about the simplest situations. If your driving license is issued in any of these countries that you see in this slide, as Angola, Australia, Brazil, it will be valid in Portugal, even if you have established your official residence in Portugal. You don't have to exchange, but have some requirements. The date of the issuance of your driving license cannot have more than 15 years. You need to be under 60 years old, and obviously your driving license must be valid. If your driving license was issued in United Kingdom, you don't have to exchange it. Good news. Good news. If your driving license has been expired for less than 2 years, in this case, you can exchange it. In the previous situations, what you have to do? you only need to register your driving license with IMT within 60 days of settling in Portugal, and ACP can help you. In the last situations, if you are not in the last situations, you need to pay attention. In this case, you really need to exchange your driving license. First situation, your driving license was issued by a European Union country plus Norway, Iceland, or Liechtenstein. The first question, your driving license have an expiration date? Yes, you can drive in Portugal until your driving license expires. 6 months before the expiration date, you must apply for the exchange. No, your driving license don't have any expiration date. You have 2 years to change your driving license, counting from the date that you establish your residence in Portugal. However, in both cases, you must register your address in Portugal with IMT, and ACP can help you in this process. Documentation that you need, your residence permit in Portugal, authorization of residence in Portugal, issued by the City Council or by IMA, the old SEF, your driving license, a medical certificate, and psychological assessment certificate if you are applying for heavy vehicles. The second situation, countries that have a bilateral agreement or reciprocity recognition. I will give you a moment to see which countries are. There are many, many, many of them. Brazil, Cambodia, Congo, Cuba, Chypre. In this case, if you establish your residence in Portugal, you must know the deadlines counting from the issue date of your residence document. Up to 90 days, you can drive, but you must apply for the driving license exchange. From 90 days up to 2 years, you can no longer drive, but you can still apply for the exchange. After 2 years, you can apply for the exchange, but it will be required a practical driving test for each category. Independently of the moment that you apply for the exchange, and if you apply for the motorcycles category or heavy vehicles, you need to pass a theoretical and a practical test. Documentation are the same, but you also need the certificate of authenticity and translation of your driving license if your driving license is not in Portuguese, French, English, or Spanish. The third situation for driving license that don't have that was issued by a non-signatory countries, you cannot drive at all in Portugal. And you can apply for the driving license exchange, but you also need to be approved in a practical driving test for each category that you have. And if you have motorcycles categories and heavy vehicles, you must also pass a theoretical test. In this case, the documentation is the same as the past slides. And now, if you really have to exchange, how to do it? You have to access to a platform that calls IMT Online. And on this platform, you need to fill in a form, upload the documents, and then IMT will contact you with information to pay some amount and collect the signature and your photograph. How can ACP help you? Although ACP cannot submit the driving license exchange application for you, ACP members can obtain the medical certificate at any ACP office. You can only simply schedule the date that you want in any ACP office, and we can manage the process of registering your address in Portugal with IMT within 60 days of settling in Portugal. And that's it.
Wonderful.
We are ready for your questions.
Right, a lot of information there, quite amazing. So it may be useful to go into, if you want to ask a personal question about your particular circumstances, let's bring you back onto the screen as well there, if we may, Soraya and Isadora. And yeah, if you want to ask questions about your personal circumstances now, feel free to do so. Many questions coming in, that's great. And Debbie, yeah, USA was on the list on the first slide. The caveat being you don't need to exchange unless you're over 60 years of age. So we might need to refresh on that particular aspect there, because believe it or not, some of our participants here tonight are over 60. We're hearing tonight as well that Larry just received a D7 visa, so quickly saying parabéns to you. Excellent. Congratulations. Coming soon to Portugal, says Larry. Right. Good evening. My license was issued in the UK, but I'm 60 in May. Do I have to exchange it? So before that 60 years of age limit there, I think you've already answered that, Isadora. Would you like to voice that as well?
Yes,
For the benefit of other
yes.
people?
If your driving license was issued in the UK, so you're free. You're free. You don't have to do anything. You can drive in Portugal and with no problems. You don't have to exchange it.
That's wonderful.
With no limitations, with no age limitations. You don't have to worry about anything.
Wonderful. That's for the UK.
Yes, for the UK.
Yeah, okay. It's an emotional roller coaster ride because, for example, for somebody who saw that USA, you don't have to exchange, but then, oh, but you do if you're over 60. I think we need to reiterate that particular scenario. Okay, so we've got somebody from the USA, and let's say they are 61. What is the step process for that particular person? Anyone over 60 coming from the United States who wants to exchange their driving license?
Yes, in this case, you really need to exchange it. So this was that first situation. When you don't have to exchange it, but you have to fulfill those requirements. So if you're 61, in this case, you really have to exchange it. So you have to go through all the process of the exchange. You go to the platform of EMT, you need to have the medical certificate. But in this case, you do not have to present the certificate. Soraya, do you have to present a certificate of authenticity in this case, for example, from the USA?
Yes, you have.
Okay, could you give us a little bit more detail on those particular certificates then? What is the certificate of authenticity and how difficult is the medical certificate process that people will have to go through?
The medical certificate is truly simple. You just need to schedule with the doctor. We have that in ACP, for example.
Yep.
It's really quick. It will test your sight. It will test your reflections. So it's real easy.
Yep.
The psychological exam will only be needed for if you apply for or if you want to retain heavy vehicles. Okay. Only in this situation will it be necessary. Otherwise, you don't have to do it.
Okay, so there might be some exceptions. There might be some truck drivers here, but unlikely. So it looks like the first bit of information that you gave out there will be appropriate for those over 60 coming from the United States. Anything else you want to say? This certificate of authenticity, have we already covered that, or is that another name for something we've already discussed? Just to clarify, the certificate of authenticity is what exactly?
So that's a certificate that is issued from the entity that issues the driving license in your country.
Yeah.
It states when you had the exam, or you had the ability for those categories that you are applying to, many times it is a apostolate. How do you say it?
Oh, apostille.
Apostille.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So it has to state that this person in the state of Florida made an exam for these categories in these dates. So EMT will look at that, and that really is a certificate that your driving license is authentic. It exists.
So that they know they're dealing with an authentic document there from
Exactly.
the country of origin. That's great. Okay, thank you. I mean, given that that's probably covers quite a lot of our demographic here, and people are thinking, oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot of things. There are things I've never done before. As people who've helped other people through this process, can you give us some idea how much you can help and how hard or easy it is to go through that process as an American, for example, who may be 60 plus? I think you're waiting for each other to answer that, aren't you?
For the American, I
Yeah.
have a case, a special case.
Yes.
I had a special case today. Maybe Gail and White, see
Maybe
us.
they are here.
Maybe they are here. I think
They
so.
might
I think
address
so.
it too with this. Okay.
I think so.
I can't believe that those two will be a special case, but go on, carry on.
Not special, not special, not special. Today they apply for on IMT online for the exchange. The process itself, it's not complicated. You just have to fill in the form, upload the documents, and that's it. The problem is the time. The IMT take a long time
Yes.
to exchange.
Yes.
That is the real problem today.
Okay. All right.
You have to go. You have to make some homework. Okay. The apostille document, the residence authorization. It's other issue that is complicated in Portugal at this moment with AIMA and the old SAF. That is very complicated to arrange an appointment to apply for the residence authorization. That is hard to do it.
Yep.
But as soon as you have all the required documents, fill in the form, upload the documents, and that's it. And wait patiently.
That's the hard bit. That's the bit that people find difficult. And of course, you make it sound very easy because you're using websites and forms that you're very familiar with, and you're Portuguese, of course. So the great news is you can help people with this process, right? If people are getting quite stressed about this, this is something you can help them with.
Yes, the process itself, we cannot. Of course, we can help you, okay, but we cannot submit. ACP cannot submit for you, but of course we
can
help
guide, but not submit.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Well, that's a great service. Thank you, both of you, for offering that. Let's go back to some of the questions in the chat because there are many. Thank you very much, Thea. If you're over 60, what documents do you need? We'll need to know your country there, Thea, if you'd care to share that with us, or you can wait till we stop recording if you like. Yeah, USA, there was a little bit of a confusion there. USA was on there, and I think we've covered that now. Excellent. And
you do not have to take a written test if your driving license was from the US, okay? You do not have to do this.
Right, that's what I mean about the emotional roller coaster ride tonight. That would be a real relief to many people, I think, watching. I joined 6 minutes into the presentation. I'm a US citizen with a Virginia driver's license. I'm not yet a resident. I'm is processing my family reunification. I believe I must exchange my Portuguese driver's license, but I believe I do not have to take a written test. I think you've just covered that, haven't you there? That's for you, Jose. Let us know if you need any further on that. And when you ask to exchange, do you need to surrender your US driver's license when you apply, or just when you get the Portuguese license? That's a good question, isn't it? When people are exchanging, do they have to surrender licenses? And does that put them in a difficult position if they're traveling?
Yes. At the same point, the process is that you submit the documents, okay? Then you pay the fee. Then the IMT.
EMT will call you to gather the signature and your picture.
Exactly.
And they will give you a document that allows you to drive in Portugal while you are waiting for the driving license, for the Portuguese driving license. This one you will receive at your house. This document only allows you to drive in Portugal. So with this document, we cannot issue an international driving license. So you will be stuck in Portugal, okay? And you will lose your foreign driving license, since when you go to EMT to gather the signature and the picture, you will have to give your driving license.
Okay, there are worse places to be stuck, but I guess what you're saying is if you go abroad, you won't have the original driving license anymore. So you need to factor that into your plans. Thank you very much for that, Soraya and Isadora. Okay. Dwight, we understood. Oh, it's Dwight and Gail here. We understood that we have 90 days to apply for a driver's license exchange from the activation of our residency cards. Do you want to comment on that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat? I was
No problem. You're probably
reading.
looking at other questions there, aren't you? We
Oh,
understood
sorry.
that we had 90 days to apply for the driver's license exchange and the activation of our residency card. So if you could reiterate on time limits.
That depends on what country was it issued.
Yes. Okay. That will be US, I believe.
No, but in the US, you have, I believe you are over 60 years of old. You can apply it. You don't have to apply it in the 90 days.
Okay, so just go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, go ahead and do that. Sorry it went by so quickly. What was that, Alicia? So from the US, less than 60. Yes. Do we have to exchange when we get our residency? There isn't, you just said there, really, that doesn't prompt the exchange. You can just go ahead and do the exchange anyway. And just to test our knowledge, if you're under 60 as an American, you don't have to exchange anyway.
Exactly.
That was in that
and if you have more than 15, I'm sorry, if the driving license has more than 15 years since the issuance, okay? So it's both conditions.
Yes. Okay. Now that's an interesting fact to bear in mind, isn't it? If you are moving, if you're still stateside, you could get a new driving license issued, couldn't you, before you came, to make sure, let's say your driving license is 16 years old and you arrive in the 17th year of a driving license, then you're going to have to exchange. So if somebody gets a copy before they come, or another driving license and a replacement driving license for their existing one, that will be issued with plenty of time on it, and that's a smart hack to do by the sound of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So that's worth knowing. That's going to save a whole lot of hassle if you want to get a replacement and have a fresher, newer driving license coming from the United States. That's really good information. Thank you. So I hope that helps Alicia there. Ronan letting us know that Jerry posted the link earlier this week. So there's a link to for folks regarding the UK driving license holders there. And that will be in the forum. Can I apply for my Portuguese driving license and still keep my USA driving license for when I make trips there? No. As I heard correctly, that's what you were talking about, being stuck in Portugal there. What do people do? What do Americans do? Do they wait to exchange, or do they? I mean, we've heard of other hacks, haven't we, where there's a driving license kept on file by a hire company, but these are all quite risky things to do, aren't they? What in your experience do Americans do to avoid being stuck and caught out from not having an American driving license anymore?
They don't tell us.
Okay, all right. That's a simple answer there. There may be other hacks then coming from our American participants tonight. So thank you very much for that. Lowell, if you are an EU citizen, so okay, we're testing the incredible complexity of the information that you've very kindly shared with us tonight, both of you. If you're an EU citizen with a US driving license that resides in Portugal for less than 183 days per year, do I need to exchange my driving license? I am over 60 added to that. What would you say on that one?
Where is your official residency? This is the main question.
Where is the official residency? That's the main
Exactly.
determinant there. Thank you. So Lowell, let us know on that. Is there a booklet that we can use to brush up on traffic rules? That's great. We'll come back to more general questions about driving and what the ACP can do in a little while. So that's from V. David. Thank you for that. But we'll stick to exchanging of driving licenses and just to make sure everyone's got their questions answered on that for the time being. If from the USA with a heavy vehicle license, must a test be taken? Well, yes, I think that's right. If so, could you just downgrade to a regular vehicles on your Portuguese license and skip the test? Okay, so it would just default, wouldn't it, to non-category A? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's not
Yes,
a problem.
you will lose those categories, but in that case, you do not have to do the exams.
And it's just a default to the lower categories. You don't have to do anything or take any further action by the sound of it. Okay. Diana, I think we've covered the psychological exam. The medical and psychological descriptions sound very terrifying. As I recall, when I went to, and I exchanged my British driving license a long time ago, getting to the doctor's office was probably the same as passing the test. That's as difficult as it got. Actually arriving there, finding the doctor, and being able to speak to the doctor and ask for the certificate was enough to get me one, as I recall. It may be different in other circumstances, but it's not like a medical that it's not intrusive. Let's put it that way. So I do not plan to drive in Portugal. I am a 68-year-old USA resident. I plan on spending a couple of months in the USA each year and need a license to do that. So, am I required to get a Portuguese license if I do not plan to drive in Portugal? Presumably not.
Oh.
Nope. And the other thing you said earlier on is you don't have to be a driver to be a member of the ACP. So we'll come back to member benefits, because don't be thinking you have to be a driver to join the ACP. We'll come back to more on that in a little while. We'll also say, says Dwight or Gail, this might be, the ACP helped us save about 55% on our auto insurance. Very good. And do they test for color blindness in Portugal? That's not part of the medical, is it? Testing for color blindness?
No, it's not. It's not.
And there are more roundabouts here than there are in the United States, rather than relying on traffic lights. Well, there are traffic lights, but there are lots of roundabouts here as well. So that's what you need to learn, how to use a roundabout. Lots of people need to learn how to use a roundabout in Portugal, though, to be fair. Our residency cards were validated from February the 9th. And this is Gail, completed mine online today with the help of, there you go. This was a special help that you were talking about earlier on, Soraya. Completed our online medical appointment with Soraya with the doctors online. €35. That's great, Gail. You might want to join us.
That's not great. That's great. In ACP, it will be less.
Oh, okay. I beg your pardon. All right. So even better then with ACP. €35, it sounds like a bargain, but they can do it even cheaper. That's wonderful. They loaded the medical certificate directly online with the IMT. I just had to upload the other documents. Great work. Thanks, ACP, for helping Gail there. Do you have to take a written test if you are from the US and over 60? We said no earlier on that. And does the IMT provide a copy of the rules of the road? We're going to get there in just a moment on the brushing up on Portuguese driving, because there may well be an ACP solution to that as well. For touristic driving, under 90 days and in a rental vehicle, if you have a valid US driver's license, is there any reason why you would also need an international driver's license? I don't know if you two can answer that. I guess that depends on the terms and conditions of the hire company, but usually an American driving license is fine for hiring a car in Portugal, isn't it?
Yes.
You don't need an international.
Exactly. It will not be required here.
All right. Thank you, Soraya, for your help today. Not special, just appreciate the personal email responses when I needed help to understand the process fully. The request for documents online on the IMT website does not clearly state the actual document they want you to upload. So thank goodness for that help Special help from Soraya then. So yes, it's Soraya that's special, and that's highly valued, that help that you offered there. Thank you
She's
today.
special.
Welcome.
Age, yes, you both are. Thank you for being here tonight. Age restrictions 63 and 86. I'm not sure what you mean there, Hazel. This can take months and makes me a slave of Portugal. Now, Nancy, I think, is saying, yeah, this is the waiting time. And this is, I mean, we just have to be straight up honest about this. This is a problem in Portugal at the moment, isn't it? IMT can take a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people wait a year.
And we don't see this getting better.
Okay.
We really don't see this getting better. For instance, EMT used to issue a document with an expiration date, and sometimes you would have to go to EMT, and we had many ACP members that would come to us, and we would do this for them, and we would go with those documents to EMT, so they would stamp another expiration date. So what did EMT do? They now issue a document with no expiration date, because they cannot assure when will they issue the final documents.
Wow.
So it would be months.
And it's only good for driving in Portugal, as you said, but it doesn't have an expiry date anymore. That's very interesting. Okay,
Yes.
you don't see that changing anytime soon. And I know people, who've waited weeks, and people who've waited months, a year even. So you're absolutely right, Nancy. And I think it's probably good to look at what other people are doing. Talk to the community. Go to expatsportugal.com/community and find out what other people have done when they've gone back to the United States. Get sort of first-hand testimony and personal experience on that at the forum, I would suggest. Rebecca, if I'm over 60 with a motorcycle class on my USA license, do I have to take a motorcycle driving test in Portugal to renew my driver's license? So motorbike users, do they have to do something new if they are American and over 60? What do you think?
From USA?
Yeah, and they want to, do I have to take a motorcycle driving test in Portugal as a 60+ person?
Or a 60 with a category motorcycles?
Yep. Should we come back to you on that? Feel free to have a little look, and we'll come back to you on that, Soraya. Please explain how to get certificate of authenticity. How does one get a certificate of authenticity? In the United States, it's the what I can't remember the acronym for the equivalent of the IMT in the United States, but I know a lot of people don't like going there. But it is your driving authority over in the United States for the certificate of authenticity, isn't it, Isadora?
Yes, the place where you go when you have to renew your driving license.
Yes, and I think somebody will help us.
DLV.
DLV, that's the one. Yes, many people have some unfortunate stories about DMV.
DMV,
Thanks,
yes.
thanks, Larry. Thanks, Timothy. Thanks, everybody. Department of Motor Vehicles. That stands for in the United States there. Okay, let's see what else we've got. I'm a US citizen residing in the US and have EU citizenship. That's going back to Lowell. So I think what we'll do is we'll come back to that when we conclude the recording. So we'll be recording for a few more minutes, and then we'll deal with some of these heavier duty personal issues with Soraya and Isadora after the recording is concluded, which is a really good reason to be here with us as an Expats Portugal member on the Thursday night webinar. Let's see what else we can help out with here. I'm an American, says Sharon. I have a residency in Portugal just over 2 years now. My Arizona license doesn't expire until December of 26. For some reason, I didn't learn about the deadline to exchange until a few months ago. I am over 60. I plan to take driver's school to obtain my Portuguese license. I haven't done it up to this time because something keeps popping up, not allowing me to spend the hours continuously to do the driving school. I understand that going to driving school, it is possible to not take the test, which is in Portuguese. Is this correct? From Sharon there.
No, if you go to a school, you can keep your Florida driving license. So in this case, you will have Arizona, I'm sorry. You will have 2 driving licenses, but you will have to take all the sorry.
No
You
problem.
will have to go through all the time to take and I'm sorry, you have many hours
Yes.
that you have to be there in the classes. I'm sorry. You have to take all the classes and you will have to do the theoretical and practical tests.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't understand why you don't exchange it. So
Right, we'll come back to that as well after the recording. Let's see if we can go with some more general questions here that can help on a sort of more universal level. I think probably the thing to do now, we'll come back to some of those personal circumstances in just a moment, and we'll crack through those. What we need to know, I think, from you just before we finish the recording is what else the ACP can do for our Expats Portugal members. So it's not just helping with exchanging of driving licenses. You guys do loads, don't you? Loads of things that you can help people with. Would you like to detail a few of those things?
oh, I can detail some of these things, but what you have to keep in mind is that ACP will help you in every single part of your life. Insurance, health, like being an ACP member is having like an health product also. Every registration of vehicles, the importation of your vehicle, for instance, so we can help you with all that. And also you will have discounts in many of our partners, or for renting a car, for example. So anything that you can imagine, ACP will be there. Do you want to pay less for the electricity? ACP is also there.
Wow. Okay. And available via our business directory at expatsportugal.com. So connect that way. Thank you for the time being. Really helpful. It's so complicated. It's been changing, hasn't it? Or, you know, with all the different countries and the different regulations. So great job tonight on doing your best to decode all that complex information there. Thank you, Soraya and Isadora, for the time being. Please stick around and answer a few more questions, if you will, for us. And I'm just going to pause the recording there.